Okay, this is Fockwolf, and I'm back here with another video, this time describing the ground units. For those of you who didn't watch the first video, or the naval video, or didn't read the comments on there, the big number I was referencing to is the 591 actors currently on the map at the time of this recording, and the naval recording. So this is quite a hefty project. A lot of work has been put into this. I did this based upon community requests. A lot of people are asking for a good diplomacy map, and so far the general reviews among those who tend to be in the actual target audience say I have succeeded so far. There are two things I hear consistently. It's the best diplomacy map on Battle.net so far, although one better may come later, and it's also a page 2 map. Unfortunately, although I like to believe it is the best diplomacy on Battle.net so far, the page 2 part of it, the popularity system. People are slowly discovering this map, but they're also slowly discovering rather quickly after they discover this map that they can't get people. Now, in StarCraft 1, this sort of map would be one of the things you see a couple lobbies on, or one or two every time you looked for it. You'd be able to find a game. It wouldn't be that popular. It wouldn't be all over the place. But in the old StarCraft 1 Warcraft 3 lobby system, you at least be able to play this game when you wanted to. It's just that kind of game. People who love StarCraft 1 Diplomacy, Infinity, and stuff like that tend to really take a liking to this map. It's got the kind of depth and stuff like that. It's in need of polish. It's not entirely complete, as you can see. A lot of special units are missing. Currently trying to add those, but right now I'm waiting on interfaces and stuff like that to be made. If some of them take a little too long, I'm going to end up doing it myself. But basically, I am starting to get a team for this map. Things are starting to take off a little bit, but really the kicker is that popularity system. Already, I dare say it's a map that could climb to page 3 or so, just to be on the 3 or 4, maybe on the low side. But to be honest, it's not. People need to discover this map faster. People need to know this map exists, and most people don't go check out the forums. They don't search all that often. They like this sort of map, but they can't, quite frankly, can't find it. I run into other games like World of Tanks. They're waiting for custom maps and stuff like that to come out, and maps like this, it tends to fit their general. This map tends to fit their general category of a map they've been waiting for to come out, but it's just hard to get people. This map is easier to find groups to play with on Fridays, Saturdays, and occasionally Sundays. Mostly, it's kind of become a weekend map. People can find games on occasion, but I would like it to be appreciated more by a larger audience. The people do play even now, and quite frankly, the popularity system is a major kicker. Now, my rants beside that, I'd like to go into the land units now. Let's go to the heavy tanks first. Now, these are pretty much all the heavy tanks in the game currently. There's going to be more. The most distinctive one that's missing is the Joseph Stalin. Maybe the American T1 Heavy or something like that, but sorry, not the T1, the M6. But for now, this is basically the heavies currently in the game. To give you an idea, this one here is the King Tiger. This is the default heavy tank, and this is the British Churchill heavy tank. Well, heavy infantry tank. Basically, the description, this is the default one. It's just great at taking damage and engaging enemy armor, also machine gun for anti-infantry. Let's go to the machine guns in a little bit. This one, the King Tiger is kind of one people don't really understand all that well. It's not a primary tank. It's more of a support tank. And if you have a pack of, say, Panzer IVs, which I'll show you later, and some King Tigers behind them, you will shred enemy armor without mercy. People just mass these things and they find out that they tend to get slaughtered by a group of infantry and stuff like that. They are not that kind of tank. Really, if you're the biggest of nations, you should not have more than about 20 of them in any given fight, or really in your army. So it makes a difference. The Churchill here, this one's a really great tank, actually. I had to nerf it a couple times because of how overpowered it was getting. Basically, this is kind of an infantry tank. It's reflected in the fact that it's machine gun attack, although it's on there, it doesn't actually work. And instead, it does bonus damage versus infantry. It also has thick armor. All these guys have really thick armor. They have a lot of damage reduction. A Churchill, though, it requires 1937 armor and gun tech versus the King Tiger's 1943 armor and gun tech. Actually, all the heavies start coming in at 1943, minus this one you can get earlier. Excuse me. This guy is Britain's star tank, and quite frankly, it does quite well. It's not going to win against the actual anti-armor tanks, but still is quite potent and gives Britain a lot of flexibility and a very good tank at a actually pretty decent price. Alrighty, next guy's over here are the medium tanks. Just to point them out, this is, which one is this? This is a stock. Okay, yeah, okay. This is the Russian T-34. I'm trying to make the special units actually look special, so attach model, stuff like that. I'm having issues with actor animations. You know, the tank moves, kind of bounces up and down, kind of moving in and out of the model. I need to disable those. I'm still trying to figure all that out. Actors, I like to think I know a fair amount of actors, to be honest. I'm just still having some issues here now. I've managed to fix some stuff, but a lot of things is just evading me so far. Same thing with that battleship and the naval one. I got a turret shifting issue I'm still trying to sort out. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. Anyways, this is a T-34. It's designed with model and the stats designed to reflect it has sloped armor, so it's got slightly improved stats across the board and pretty good damage resistance. The only downside of this tank is really its increased cost, but for Russia that's not necessarily too big of an issue, so you have a fair amount of these supported by infantry. You've got a pretty good army. Later on the Joseph Stalin's going to come into play, but that's not in the map as of yet. Next guy over here is the Panzer IV. Panzer IV had really thick armor, but it was a box armor. And I tried to kind of replicate that in using these crates, these attached models. Now, it's got much more HP than the other mediums, but also has less damage resistance. But it can tank a lot of damage and still does great damage. Its gun's more powerful than most. I think it's the most powerful gun on the medium tank scale. Fires a bit slower than the T-34 though. But this tank is, combined with King Tigers, gives the Germans an insanely powerful armored punch. Alright, now the one over here is a M4 Sherman. Now, this M4 Sherman is available basically if the country was pretty much liberated by by a certain nation. It's going to gain special. So for instance, a lot of North Africa, maybe in Turkey, stuff like that, got special units. Like Switzerland would basically later on be able to access almost everyone's key special units, because after all it's Switzerland. We all know the story about them. But anyways, this is the M4 Sherman. It's a cheaper tank, has less HP, costs less, it has less armor damage reduction. Its gun does less damage, but it fires faster than the other ones do. But to be honest, this is a great attrition tank. If you want a tank that can survive attritional warfare, you need to replace quickly, then this is your tank. This is the stock medium. Everything else is balanced based on this. It's just a good tank in general. It has a machine gun, can damage armor, it's just a good tank in general. Something you really want in your armies. Keep in mind, you want a mix of the platoons for optimal performance. I mean, single versus single infantry have a slight advantage, but then again, if you fully upgrade armor cars with the machine guns, I'll go into a bit, the infantry gets slaughtered. So you want a mix of all the platoons. It really just depends on how you want your army to tackle this stuff. Now I'm going to go into some other stuff. This is the infantry tank. I chose to put the Churchill in the heavy tank just due to its sheer size and armor, but this infantry tank, it doesn't use its machine gun. Instead, it just has a pretty good splash attack in its infantry and still can damage armor. The difference between that and the light tank has less armor. It should be slightly faster and does more damage versus armor, but has no machine gun. Earlier armor platoons utilize both these units, and they're quite effective early game because the enemy, if they're in the same tech level, does not have the necessary AT guns to pose a serious threat. Later on you want heavier armor, but for now it's quite good. It is part of the mechanized platoon. Actually, the mechanized platoon also I think utilizes the light. It may also utilize the infantry as well to a certain degree. This is the armored car. The armored car, basically, you need the support and armor upgrades to gain the mechanized platoons and increase their stats. But the armored car, actually, it's damaged. The machine gun up here, Gatling gun, benefits from the machine gun upgrade, not the support upgrade. So it makes a difference. Now this tank destroyer over here, I'm trying to represent a tank destroyer. You know, turret doesn't rotate, but it's basically a medium tank with an anti-tank gun. So it's quite potent. It's basically a really armored anti-tank gun. It gives you a pretty serious advantage. Gives the mechanized platoon some meat later on when heavier armors get in the game. Early on, mechanized basically just need infantry shredder. It maintains that capability at the same time, being able to hurt armor pretty well too. It gives the mechanized platoon some serious punch, but it gains for the same upgrade as the anti-tank gun does, and that sort of thing. All right, next thing. Let's go over to the infantry. This is the rifleman. I said this is a Spanish fascist guard. I am going to be removing this unit here soon. The problem is this is a ported WoW model, and with all ported WoW models, it is vulnerable to memory leak issues because the textures are unrefined. I really wish Blizzard would port all the Warcraft 3 models over to StarCraft 2 and just have them there so he doesn't take up map size. I'm not very. I don't know 3D Max that well. The Blender tool for importing and exporting just won't take the animations in and out, so I can't use that. The bottom line is I need access to 3D Modeler to get the Warcraft 3 ones in here so I can use stuff like Calvary. But for now, this is going to have to do. It does cause, lots of them will cause memory leakage, and but for now, the regular Cavalry's been taken out. The Spanish Fascist Guard's going to stay in for now, though. It's basically an improved rifleman. Maybe a little bit faster, more HP, does more damage, but that's about it. There are some issues. For instance, I can't really use a gun attachment point like they have in WoW, so I have to kind of fake it. But this is proving to works pretty well so far, except for the memory leakage issue and the fact that a lot of these on the map, around 500 to 600, will light the map out. All right, now this is the next one's the rifle. 1 second, that's pissing me off. This is the Rifleman and Icelandic Marine. I'm actually thinking about Rifleman's basically your stock Rifleman. One thing people don't really recognize about the Rifleman, they tend to underestimate this unit, is the fact that later on in the game, when you have the Rifleman rifle attack upgrade, you actually can actually hurt armor with that gun. It does around maybe 5 to 6 damage a hit, but with the Rifleman stacking, it's quite effective. So late game, Riflemen actually gain in power, they don't lose in power. So something you need to keep in mind, something that's very good to keep in mind. Now the Icelandic Marine, the reason he's not with the machine gunner, which is over here, is simply because, well, his machine gun damages all targets evenly. Although later game it doesn't get so effective, but he also has something that's quite unique. That's called a sticky bomb. The Icelandic Marine will throw a sticky bomb. It damages armor, but it can really, really damage fortifications.